Court dismisses Nnamdi Kanu's no case submission, orders him to file for defense. See, I am curious, and I genuinely want to understand in Nigeria. I want to understand, like, I'm curious. I want to know. I'm asking like a novice, like someone that just came into Nigeria today, that doesn't know anything. I want someone to explain to me the constitution Nigeria is using. I want to know, are we using two constitutions, or are we in two separate countries? Is the constitution governing some part of Nigeria different from the constitution governing some part of Nigeria? I know why I'm asking, because these people took their time, energy, resources, travel to Kenya, carry person for night from Kenya, come into Nigeria, put them for DSS, because they talk say in talk, no be Hindu, no be say Hindu, in talk something will be like instigation, will be like violence. In talk, now talk in talk. They carry them from Kenya, all the way from Kenya, carry them Nigeria. Since then, 2021, he dey inside. Then they carry them, they come court, carry them, they go back, carry them, they come court, carry them, they go back from DSS office. Since then, tell us what did this man do now, or just finish the case. If you want sentence him, you sentence him. No. He dey inside since then, reach today. Now he don't submit no case based on say, man, I don't understand what they go on. What did I even do? When I dismiss him today, they tell him say make him file for defense. While the other part of the country, bandit wey gree say he be bandit. You know what he be say? Person gree say yes, I'm a bandit, nothing will happen. I be bandit. I agree. As in the person that agree with you full chest. Talk say nothing I go do me. See the bandit, eh? That's my area of concentration. The person agree say he be bandit, you know they hide them. What do you remember for the person that print complimentary card they give? How far now? What do you do? My name is Sule. See my complimentary card. I do bandit. Agree. Government they see him. They see him with weapons. Meanwhile, they don't see the other person with weapon. Then they see this person with weapon. What did they do? They call the person peace talk. The person with gun. They call him peace talk. Come, let's dialogue. Let's negotiate. We want to talk. We want to see the way forward. Let's know the way forward. What can we do together? Now, the person where agree saying ban, they do guy. They give condition. They give them demand. They give government demand what they want and what they don't want. Are we practicing two constitution? You see, when people go come out, come they talk say, I no like, they don't like waiting the way country they behave. It can't be like. In fact, this thing what they do now, they validate waiting Nnamdi Kanu where una put for inside that place. They talk since you are validating him, telling him that true, there are two separate countries. When in the talk say you know one being in Nigeria, we are validating him by this action now where una they take. One agree say him be bandit. The other one they fight for say in people say no, we know one day with these people again. No, we won't come out. Una no see anything. Una no feel release that one. He chose peace now. But this one where you don't see what they happen. They negotiate with government ordinarily. Now government they talk say we don't negotiate with bandits. But now a bandit they talk say I don't want to negotiate with government. And we country quiet. Nigerians no one even talk anything. You know why I they laugh with all these things? Because if you keep quiet based on saying you don't like the person where they do them to, when it go happen to you, you go shock. Mamma mia.
Everyone, I hope you're doing great today. So lately I've been pushing for a peaceful national divorce in Nigeria. And a lot of people have been reaching out to me asking me, Joe, how possible is that ever going to be? How can you say peaceful when you know it will never be peaceful? and all of that. And I'm asking, why shouldn't it be peaceful? Why must everything be violent? An elder statesman asked me a very interesting question earlier today, and he said to me, Joe, he called me a philosopher. I said, you're a philosopher. Can you explain why what happened to Nigerians that all of a sudden we have become disconnected and detached from reality? We no longer recognize truth. And he meant it when he was asking me, and this is true. And I told him simply, it's because the forces of darkness, the colonial powers, have waged a sustained psychological warfare on Nigerians for so many years, and it's now beginning to bear fruit. People now suffer from what we call in intelligence research altered state of consciousness. Their altered state of consciousness is what is beginning to happen to make them disconnect completely from reality. They see the truth, and the truth doesn't look like truth to them. They see something that would naturally elicit a reaction of awe and fear and panic and shock, and they're just indifferent about it. That's what happens when someone is under a mind control. They've mind controlled people into stupidity, into what we call Stockholm Syndrome. You already know what Stockholm Syndrome is. That's what they have done. This is why people no longer believe in reality, because if you believe in reality, you will understand that there is absolutely no unity between the three biggest tribes in Nigeria, the Igbo, the Hausa, the Yoruba. There's no unity, and there is not going to be unity in the foreseeable future. So why do you want to keep pandering this whole idea of united what? That's why the man was saying that people have now become so terribly disconnected from reality, from the truth. How do you see Igbo man uniting with the Yoruba man with what the colonial powers have planted in Nigeria and the decades-old psychological warfare that has inflicted so much wound in the soul that can never be healed again, just so that the division remains permanent, and so that they can now tap into that division and use it to continually divide and engage us in all these incendiary animosities while they are stealing us dry. That's why some people say Africans are not very mature. Sometimes, not all of us, and some of us. How do you allow someone else use you the way the colonials use us? Rather than come together and fight for our common purpose, we are becoming tools in their hands, puppets being used by them. And we know it, yet we surrender to be used. Today, the Yoruba man is even scared of his own shadows because of what Tinubu has done. Yorubanized his entire administration. I have never, since I've been alive, seen any president that has been this nepotistic. Just look at the hires. Look at all the people. Look at all the appointments. So he's afraid of his own shadows. What he has done makes him very uncomfortable. So he feels that the moment he leaves power, if it happens prematurely or if he doesn't get a second term in office, that the Yoruba nation will be left very vulnerable. And anybody can take advantage of power and mess them up. And look at the North. Just because they were seen to be tilting towards Russia, following the footsteps of their brothers in the Sahel, the colonials immediately panicked, infuriated by that, moved the power structure that the Northerners have always had since we've been alive, and relocated it to the West and handed it over to Tinubu. And so the power structure, the colonial power structure now that used to be in the North is now in the West. And the Northerners have vowed, because of what they have seen in just a few years into Tinubu's presidency, they have vowed, come rain, come shine, we will not allow Tinubu to come back. And it's not even a joke. They are open. When I first spoke about it, it was just maybe one or two talking about it. Now there are so many of them talking about it openly. They're preparing for war. And everybody walks around as if all is well. And talk about the Igbo man. He's been at the receiving end from day one. Ever since they challenged the idea of the concocted fake union, the forced marriage, and went to war with Nigeria, the colonials have not forgiven them. And there's been this unwritten code that no Igbo man is allowed to rule Nigeria. It's unwritten. If you like, be an Igbo man, win by a landslide. They must find a way. It has to either be Yoruba or Hausa ruling Nigeria. It's an unwritten code, except if that changes tomorrow. Everybody knows that. For those who haven't yet been disconnected from reality and the truth, they know it. Elder statesmen have spoken about it. They know. So for the Igbo man, breaking up, signing the divorce papers like tomorrow is the best thing for him. Forget all the nonsensical talks about, oh, Igbos are landlocked, oh, they are unfortunate. Give them freedom and see what happens within just 5 to 10 years. So what I'm saying in effect is that the time is right. The Hausa man does not trust the Yoruba man, will never trust him again because of what I have seen so far. The Yoruba man does not trust the Hausa man, has always been at war with the Igbos. The Igbo man doesn't trust really anyone because they don't know who is who again. They just want to be on their own. So you can imagine that the Lugard experience that happened in 1914 has all but fallen apart, but we are still here deceiving ourselves, pretending that the union is still active, it's still flourishing. There is nothing flourishing. What makes you a human is seeing the truth. Seeing that something is white and calling it white. You see it is black, you call it black. In all honesty, search your conscience if you're watching this video. Can you openly tell anyone, your children or anybody close to you, that I can beat my chest that Nigeria is united and we are one, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, we are one? So why, if you are not one, why do you keep promoting the idea of one Nigerianism when you know that that whole idea was a commercial decision? It was an economic decision that was made to further the economic exploitation of the colonial powers. Nigeria was created as a corporation, not as a country. A company, not a country. That's why it was very necessary to forcefully amalgamate the union so that you will use the have-nots to exploit the haves and use the weakest to exploit the strongest. That's what is happening. And when you're doing that, you will make sure that you keep on fomenting divisive antics and all manner of animosities, that kind of expose the incompatibility between the unions. So they engage in this fight and bickering every day while you are busy stealing from them. And it's a permanent state of economic exploitation. So you don't ever recover from it. The only way you recover is when you wake up to this reality and break that union. You're not breaking the union because we hate ourselves. They created the hatred we have today. But if we are smart enough, we can do it in such a way that we break it, weaken them, and then decide on our own how we want to live together. That's why I am promoting and pushing for peaceful national divorce. Not because I hate anybody, but because I want us to destroy our enemy collectively by ourselves.
Hi, this is your buddy, Dr. John Isego here. The question I want to ask, are we a country of the rule of law or the whims and caprices of men? Are we a nation of the rule of law, or a nation where wickedness thrives? Why should Nnamdi Kanu remain in perpetual detention? The court has freed him. But the opinion of the cabals, those who think that they owe the country, those who think that anyone who dares speak his or her mind becomes an object of attack. Why should Nnamdi remain in detention, for Christ's sake? Why should he remain in detention? Now let me warn, especially the Igbo men and the Igbo women, the Igbos, all of you that have positions in government or in leadership, as long as Kanu remains in detention, all of you are in detention. Didn't you see what the Yorubas did? When Sunday Igboho was in the same predicament, they all rose up, they spoke with one voice. Why should some of you Igbo men lose your mind and your sanity because of money? As long as Nnamdi Kanu is in detention, all Igbos are in detention. I'm not an Igbo man, but I have to tell you the truth, that these guys are test running a very wicked agenda. A day will come, they're going to pick all the top Igbo men and lock them up. Because you guys were silent when Nnamdi Kanu was there, you didn't say anything. They are going to make sure that they deal with all of you. But let me tell the government, this wickedness has to stop. If the law says a man is free, free him. What laws are we running? The Fulanis that are killing people in Nigeria, how many of them are in jail? How many of them have been convicted? This is evil. What you are doing, the government, this is evil. Let Nnamdi Kanu go. The Fulanis are killing people everywhere. You guys are doing nothing about it. But let me say this, God will judge all of you. God will judge all of you. And the judgment of God, no one can escape it.
Igbo quest for Nigeria's unity. These are things that agitate my mind. I started thinking about how we've been having this conversation about the unity of Nigeria. And I reflect back at some of the prominent statements made by some of our founding leaders. And I feel that probably this will help us to have a conversation on the Nigerian unity. I just brought four, not to bore you. First, and I quote, not my statement, Nigeria is not a nation. It's a mere geographical expression. There are no Nigerians in the same sense as there are English, Welsh, or French. The word Nigerian is merely a distinctive appellation to distinguish those who live within the boundaries of Nigeria from those who do not. This is accredited to Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the former Prime Minister of the Western region. The second one, and I quote, it is true that we politicians always delight in talking loosely about the unity of Nigeria. 60 years ago, there was no country called Nigeria. What is now Nigeria consisted of several large and small communities, all of which were different in their outlooks and beliefs. The advent of the British and that of Western education has not materially altered the situation, and the many and varied communities have not knit themselves into a composite unit. This is accredited to Sir Ahmadu Bello, former Premier of Northern Region. The third, and I quote, since 1914, the British government has been trying to make Nigeria into one country. But the Nigerian people themselves are historically different in their backgrounds, in their religious beliefs and customs, and do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite. The Nigerian unity is only a British intention for the country. This is was said by Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the former Prime Minister. The fourth and the last, let me not bore you. And I quote, each of our three regions is vastly different in many respects, but each has this in common, that despite variety of languages and custom, or differences in climate, all form part of one country which has existed as a political and social entity for 50.
The crimes you have in the north, the insecurity you have in the north is as a direct consequence of their own action. They groomed them. Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, ISIS in West Africa, Boko Haram, Fulani headsmen, bandits, all of them. Who brought them to Nigeria? It's Fulani. Fulani brought them into Nigeria. El Rufai brought them in. Bauchi State Governor brought them in. Are you people deaf and dumb and stupid? When you come out and you pretend, oh, we are one Nigeria, go and show me. Somebody was asking, where is the boundary, where would the boundary of Biafra begin? And I asked the fool, where did the boundary of Nigeria begin? People from Niger come in and go as they like. Most of these idiots are from Niger. They are building a pipeline to Niger. They are building a railway line to Niger. They are building roads to Niger. Whereas where the money comes from, which is Biafra land, we don't have those infrastructure. No, we don't. But you're taking our money. You come to Izombe, you come to Ohaji, you come to Ebema, you come to Aguleri, you come to Ebonyi. You take our resources, sell it, get the money, and now you're building a way to Niger Republic. And you want me to be happy with you? Clap for you. Oh, Nigeria is doing well. One Nigeria. I think you are insane. You come to my land, you take our oil, you take our gas, you take our manpower, you take everything, our VAT, our tax that we pay. You are now building a road from Katsina to Niger, airport in Niger, refinery in Niger. You take oil, crude oil from my land, you take it to Niger, you refine it, you bring it back to me as a refined petroleum, or as PPS as you call it. And you're telling me that that country is viable. You're telling me that Nigeria should be supported. We are in one Nigeria. We are not going anywhere. And you're dying every day. Because those that they appointed to speak for you, they gave them money and positions. So that they will come out on the pages of newspapers to give the world the misleading impression that everything is okay, when things are not okay. Go through the statements of Ohaneze and see the contradictions in it. Nigeria is not working. We are marginalized. And then you come back and say Nigeria is one. We must stay in it together. Are you not foolish? These are the useless intellectuals that you have. On one hand, you say Nigeria is not working. You're marginalized. You are being discriminated against. You're suffering. They're killing you everywhere. And you come back to the same place and say Nigeria must be one. Had Nigerians gotten together to say they want to be part of this useless contraption, that's entirely their business. I'm a Democrat, I've subscribed to it. But have you asked yourself this question? Why is it that all those asking you to remain in one Nigeria has something to gain from Nigeria, or they have benefited in the past? Nothing more, nothing less. I saw the letter that Atiku Abubakar wrote to President Biden. In it, Atiku Abubakar said to come and help us fight terrorism, in order to ensure that there will be no regional destabilization. That is their game plan at the US State Department for very many years, until we stepped in. They keep trotting out these lies. Once Nigeria breaks up, there will be destabilization in the entire region. I said it because you don't understand African history. Most of these people are not educated. When I say, they say I'm insulting them. No, I'm not insulting you. Most of you are not educated. In Africa, we are tribal creatures in Africa. In Africa, we are tribal creatures in Africa. We always go back to our village where we were born, where our umbilical cord, where it was buried. That's where we come from. That is why every Christmas, Easter, New Year festival, or August meeting, you see us migrating back to where we come from. And I keep saying these things to Africans, they don't understand it. They don't understand it. Everywhere in Africa during Christmas, if you like, be in South Africa, if you like, let it be in Kenya, you let it be in Rwanda, everybody from the capital goes to the village. If you go to Accra, the same thing happens. This past Christmas, if you like, go to Cotonou, go to Yaoundé in Cameroon. Everybody living in the capital cities of Africa, they go back to their villages. They go back to their tribes where they come from. Do they do that in the Western world? During Christmas, these people migrating from, oh, I come from Florida, I'm going to Florida. No, you don't. Because people come from where they are born. We come from where our ancestors were born. That is the difference between black people in Africa and those from Europe and other parts of the world. We come from, so if you ask somebody, where do you come from? He or she will mention their village. That is what makes us Africans. Very, very unique. If you destroy that, you're finished as a people. In Africa, we are tribal. First and foremost, we belong to our tribe where we come from. That is why our people need to appreciate this. Very, very critical. That Africa is restructured to recognize where people come from. All these artificial creations by Europeans, Nigeria, this and that, all that rubbish. That is why you can never ever make any progress for the next 6 billion years. You can never ever make any progress in the zoo. Why is it, if we are not tribal, why would the whole presidency come out, Fulani presidency come out and say, we are defending Fulani headsmen? A presidency of the whole of Nigeria, so to speak. It is because by instinct, we are tribal beings in Africa. That is why Nigeria is unsustainable. That is why the man from Ishekiri has to vote to say, this is where I want to belong to. That is why referendum is the only way forward. That is why Africa is poor. Africans must recognize that this is who we are. You cannot live in Lagos if you're an Igbo man during Christmas. Start traveling to Sokoto. It's impossible. You must go to Igbo land. You must. That's where you come from. And if they ask you, oh, but you were born in Lagos, you will say, no, that's where my parents come from. They ask your parents will say, that's where my parents come from. They will keep going back until they get to perhaps the 100th generation. That is who we are. And nobody can change it. We are not born on the streets. Some people were born along Ijora or Kota Highway in Lagos. Maybe they are from Urobo. You ask them, where are you from? They say, I'm from Urobo. But I was born in, but this is where I come from. That is who we are. That is why all these useless, idiotic countries created in Africa cannot survive. It can never ever survive. And how do we stop it? Only a revolution can stop it. Only a revolution. If you like, keep postponing it. If you like, keep putting it off forever and ever. Only a revolution can solve this very problem, because under a revolution, the powers that be, those that be making your life a misery, will be overthrown. Nobody will say it's a coup anymore. It is called popular uprising. Don't let anybody deceive you. Don't let anybody deceive you. And that is why today some soldiers are listening and they are resigning from the army. How can you be a soldier in the Nigerian army and your village is being occupied by Fulani headsmen? Imagine those from Oyo or Ondo serving in the Nigerian army. These are my Yoruba brothers who are serving in the Nigerian army. You are from Yoruba, you are serving in the Nigerian army, doing one Nigeria. But your village is being occupied by a Fulani. The same people you are serving, or you claim you are serving, your village is under occupation by them. And to make matters worse, those you are serving under their flag, one Nigeria, and the Arabic inscription, or should I say the motto of Ottoman Danfodio, to tell you how foolish Nigerians are. You don't know that the Nigerian emblem, the army emblem of Nigeria, is the motto of Ottoman Danfodio that he used to conquer Hausa people. You don't know that it is there. That's what they're using. You're fighting under the banner of your conquerors. Maybe in Sambisa forest. And now they are sending their advanced strike force into your village. And you're doing one Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian soldier. I'm a Nigerian army. That is why I commend the 127 soldiers that have resigned so far from the army. If you don't do these things I'm asking you to do, you will, when the time comes, as I'm telling them now, remember 2015, remember 2014, remember 2013, I told you all these things. I told you what was going to happen, and now they have all happened before your eyes. You've seen it. I'm warning you now. If you're serving in the Nigerian army, and you think you're loyal to Buratai, you think I'm serving my Nigeria is not a fatherland or motherland to anybody. Nigeria is not a motherland or fatherland to anybody. Nigeria is purely a British creation. A British creation. Because if Nigeria was to be a nation or country, there is no way those that call themselves the presidency Asaro can come out to support illegality in Ondo State. Because they know they are doing it for them. Why do you think they want to avenge and revenge for Salmadu Bello? Why? They knew that Ahmadu Bello and his people, so to speak, were fighting for them. They understood that. At the time, the Hausa people thought that the Fulani was fighting for them, but today it's very clear. I asked you a simple question when I began. Are you hearing Hausa Fulani anymore? No, it's only Fulani, because they have taken over the entire corner. That is one thing you need to understand. People must begin to appreciate this. If you are in the Nigerian army and you're serving the Nigerian army, you are only paving the way for the conquest of your village, the rape of your daughters, and the abduction of your mothers. I'm telling you this. You are in the Nigerian army, yes. But what the Fulanis have got in store for you is to overwhelm and to conquer you. I feel sorry for those of you who are so foolish that they cannot reason very well.
The Federal High Court in Abuja, on Friday, dismissed the no-case submission filed by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. Justice James Omotosho, in a ruling on Friday, held that the Department of State Services has made out a prima facie case against Kanu. He accordingly ordered Kanu to enter his defense, as the prosecution has been able to convince the court without reasonable doubt that he has case to answer in the alleged terrorism charge brought against him by the federal government. Justice Omotosho held that the evidence presented by the Department of State Services through its 5 witnesses was such that there was a need for Kanu to provide some explanations in the charge brought against him. This is not to say the defendant is guilty as charged, but he is being accorded a right to a fair hearing to prove his innocence, Omotosho said. The defendant is still innocent until proven guilty, and the prosecution still has a duty to prove its terrorism and treasonable felony allegations beyond reasonable doubt. The court, however, holds that the defendant has to provide an explanation in view of the testimonies of the prosecution witnesses against him. Justice Omotosho also held that no evidence of extraordinary rendition to Nigeria was provided by Nnamdi Kanu's legal team during the prosecution's trial. This no-case submission by Nnamdi Kanu is overruled, the judge declared. The defendant is to enter his defense, Justice Omotosho added. Kanu had filed a no-case submission after the prosecution closed its case in June, insisting that he has no case to answer in the charge brought against him. Meanwhile, the court has given the Nigerian Medical Association 8 days to constitute a team of medical experts to determine the health status of Kanu. In a ruling, Justice Omotosho ordered the NMA president to submit the committee's report within 8 days for consideration on whether Kanu should be transferred to the National Hospital for treatment. Justice Omotosho directed that the committee, among other tasks, should assess the Department of State Services hospital to confirm whether it has the capacity to meet Kanu's health needs. In a ruling, Justice Omotosho ordered the NMA president to submit the committee's report within 8 days for consideration on whether Kanu should be transferred to the National Hospital for treatment. Justice Omotosho directed that the committee, among other tasks, should assess the Department of State Services hospital to confirm whether it has the capacity to meet Kanu's health needs. Kanu's lead counsel, Dr. Onyeka Ikpeazu, however, maintained that the transfer request was based on Agaja's findings. He stressed that the DSS lacked the facilities to manage Kanu's ailments and argued that it was in the interest of justice that Kanu remain alive to face the terrorism charges against him. Ikpeazu added that his team would not oppose the NMA's intervention, provided it was ordered by the court. The court adjourned the matter till October 8. What is happening to our great leader Nnamdi Kanu in conjunction with every happening in Nigeria today is purely an eye-opener to every Nigerian to know and understand the fact that Nigeria is not working and can never work, thereby proving everything Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been saying over the years to be true. Stay tuned for more updates, and continue to pray for our great leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Stay safe and have a blessed day.